dad started logging right out of high school. Was working with a bunch of his friends, and after, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, decided that if he was going to work that hard, he was going to do it for himself and start his own business.
Wally Plikat is the local contractor around Douglas County here, and I've fortunately been able to watch him grow as a company. I worked for another timberland owners that had company logging sites, and he worked for them as well, and I got to watch his company start from little and to get to where it is today. Wally's just a stand-up guy and easy to talk to.
So that Shields Creek unit, I knew right off the bat when it was notified for that this would be a challenging unit for the fact that just the resource protection issues with the fish stream in the bottom. You have a state highway to deal with. Also, not only are they high tension power lines, but then there's also utility power lines that cross-sect in the middle of the unit. So just the complexity of that, very rarely do you have a logging operation that you're going to have all those factors of power lines, 2 different power lines going in 2 different directions, the state highway, being able to get trucks on and off safely, not only, and then dropping those trees close enough to the highway.
We had three goals that we set for Wally in this challenging unit. That we had public safety we had to be concerned with, we had Forest Practices Act we had to be concerned with, and then we also had a couple sets of power lines running through the middle of the unit that he had to contend with. So he met all those goals, went above and beyond to make sure that was accomplished, and did a very good job doing it.
That unit actually fell on 2 sides of a ravine, and so you had the fish protections that needed to take place in the bottom. So you had buffers on either side of those, so it's a 50-foot buffer on both sides, and he was able to not only effectively work on both sides with keeping the integrity of the buffer intact, but they were having to hang over the buffer as well, and didn't have any impact through that buffer either.
He was able to get the same parallel the buffer with both the ground equipment and the yarder, so it worked out pretty good for him that he didn't have to string across most fish streams that you usually do that are in the middle of a unit. So the landings worked out good, and he chose the landings.
There were some lower lying wetlands that also needed to be protected and not disturbed. I found that there was literally no disturbance almost anywhere near, almost like they hadn't even been in there.
The unit laid pretty close to the right-of-way of Highway 42, and Wally took extra measures to sign it, for one thing, for the public safety, and then we had a plan that he executed to divert traffic so that it wasn't necessarily coming out into a T. We kind of he built a spur so that he could kind of merge with the traffic to make it a lot safer.
There was some trees that were pretty close to the highway, and rather than put flaggers on the highway and stop traffic, we did a lot of cutting at night.
So just that coordination with not only the logging operation right next to the highway, but then that daily communication twice a day with the power company saying, okay, we're starting now we're completed. Just that overall communication, that overall collaboration between the two, or really the three, the state highway, the power company, and the Plikat logging was something I've never seen before.
There was potential for the trees to fall on the power lines as we were cutting them. We had Douglas Electric, who has the right-of-way for the power there. They were in communication with us every morning and every night. They would turn the power off if we needed it off, if we had a hazard tree that we were just really concerned about. They would shut it off briefly, and we would remove the tree, and then they would get it right back on.
The Forest Practices Act protects also soil disturbance, and on the unit there was roads that were going to have to be put in and then also decommissioned afterwards, and making sure that those were water barred properly afterward. With Shields Creek being in the bottom, we wanted to ensure that there wasn't going to be any sediment delivery to a fish-bearing stream or to any of those protected wetlands. And the post-logging operation, the post-logging work that they did an excellent job at making sure that there wasn't going to be sediment delivery to the streams.
He had an excavator that he brought in to open the roads up, and then that excavator also came back and tore the roads apart and contoured the ground pretty close to similar to what it was before he touched it.
I can't say enough about the people that we have working for us. They don't need a lot of babysitting. They show up, they do their job. If they do turn the tracks and make a berm, it's their instinct to fix that. They'll smooth it out, put a little brush on it, whatever they need to do to make it so that it is plantable. And we don't have big berms where water is going to build up and sit for any period of time. We try to pile all our slash nicely, nice high and tight piles. That's what the landowners like, because they burn nice and clean.
The cleanup that they've done on the ground, the vegetation that was left, it looks the way it should.
We like a job to look as good as possibly can when we leave.
I call him a magician. He's really good at devising a plan, and he's really good at executing. He has really good people that work for him. They're all conscious, real easy to work with, and I think he looks at it like it's his ground, and he wants it to look nice and be able to reproduce trees.
I wasn't even the one that logged it, but I'm still proud of it when I drive by it.